Hello, TypeScript beginners. Welcome to another episode on our TypeScript exploration. In this episode, we'll talk about this very simple concept, and that is function overloading and optional properties in TypeScript. Intention is in each episode, we'll understand a very simple topic on TypeScript and try to put that concept in our project. This project we started all the way from episode 1, which is our previous episode, and it's completely built with the Node.js and TypeScript as a programming language. So if you have accidentally come across this episode 2 or current discussion, I would say, then recommendation should be to start with the episode 1, understand this project, how we built. By the way, for your convenience, I have already created a Git repository. The description, I will check and you'll find the details. So you can clone the main branch and you can also follow along the current discussion. What we did actually in our previous episode, we created a simple book service API and we added certain HTTP methods like post new books, or rather add new book, and fetch all the books that we already created. And we also added one API endpoint called get book by ID, also delete book by ID. Without wasting time much on testing what we did, let's get to the topic directly. And today we want to add one more thing, and that is get book by title also. For that, we'll use a function overloading concept. So let's get started and get to the coding. This is our book model and having the following properties like ID, title, author, and year. So let's add two more properties called genre. Let's this one as a string, and second one, let's say rating of the book, and this is also a number. To make certain properties an optional, the technique is you should put a question mark before this colon sign. That's all. So that way these two properties become optional. By the way, after I used in the last episode as an omit, which is a TypeScript utility. Simple thing is it's omit the one that I mentioned over here out of this book model. If we hover on this new book, you can see ID is no more showing. So that's a simple utility that we used last time. So this is the book model now I'm passing out of this thing. Let's check to the get book service file. Here you can see that I have a public function called get book by ID. And now I want that my book service API should be able to fetch the book based upon title also, or book title rather. So for that, what I'll do, I'll use the same file called get book by ID from the controller. Okay. So for that, I'll override or overload this function. So let's copy this one. It's just a signature I need. I don't need any function implementation. So this is our get book by ID, where I'll pass ID as a parameter, and it will return either a book model, or it can return also undefined in case the book not found. Let's do another signature. This time I would say it should be title, because I want to fetch the book based on title. The spelling should be correct. And this time I want to add one more property called by title. And I want to set this as a Boolean, because I'll pass either true or false. Remaining return type should be as it is. Now here, this is our actual function. And what we'll do, we'll say like this is no more ID, but it is title. I would say the other identifier is a better one, because it can be either title or it can be ID. And also one more property now I can expect called by title. This is also a type Boolean. Now there's a concern saying like, hey, this overload signature is not compatible with the implementation, because here it's actually expecting only one parameter, but I am actually sending two parameters. So that signature doesn't match, and this overloads complains. Simple thing, we have just learned something called optional properties. We'll set this as question mark, and that issue gone. All right. The next issue comes that it no more able to identify this ID as an input parameter, because we have changed it to identifier. So what to do? We'll first check if by title being passed as an input parameter value while calling this function or not. So that's we are checking the value first. And if I find something, then let's put it into this block, but I'll get validated the based on title. And also no more ID, it should be again obviously identifier. Title can be capital or small, so make a safe conversion to lowercase. This is a lowercase. Similar way, I want to change this as well to lowercase. That way, if the title boolean is passed, then it will be able to fetch based on title. Otherwise, it will be based upon ID. So this one I want to change back to identifier. Then my current implementation will be able to cover by both the signatures. This is called a function overloading in TypeScript. All right, so let's save it. Now let's go to our controller. It's called getBook by ID. So same, I'm just copying, but this time it should not be getBook by ID. Let's change it to getBook by title. Another method our function I have created. And now what I'll do here, when I'm passing the parameter, which is the title, in this case ID is actually a title, but here I want to pass the second parameter called true, right? Because get book by ID having two properties, one is a by title and a second one, and the first one is the title, correct? So this will contain my title when I make a request to this API, and I'm ensuring that it should go via title search, hence I'm passing this true as a boolean value. So this way this will be all okay. I'm not changing anything else, all should be fine, correct? And finally go to the router, and this was get book by ID. So before that we get this new method called get book by title, and now duplicate this one, and you just put get book by title. Okay, but the problem is it conflicts with this path. I don't know whether it's by ID or by title. So add one more differentiator within the path called title. If I just pass this one as a title as a part of the URL, then it should fetch this get book by title. I think all good. So let's save this. And what next? Definitely you have to compile back to JavaScript, right? And the command as tsc. We can also use the tsc watch command, but let's do simple tsc. So now it's all converted back to successfully to JavaScript. Server is up and running. So let's go to our test HTTP. And by the way, I already created a branch. So this is the branch. I will now push it to Git once my project is complete, means current episode is done. So you can check this episode details in this following branch. Okay. So anyway, so now let's add certain values over here. So let's say genre. We added this optional property. Let's put it as a science fiction. And the rating we also added, right? I think it should be in double quote. And put some numeric value. That's 4.3. So with that, let's click on execute this post command. Voila, successfully it's created an entry of my book details. So this is the ID that got auto generated, which we all discussed in the previous episode. So let's click on get all books. Obviously the same book I will get. There is one more validation, like if I want to re-upload this book, it will complain. Let's try. Yes, book already exists. It doesn't allow to create a duplicate book on the same title details. Anyway, so next is get book by ID. So that was our last thing. So let's change this ID with the current ID value. And if I execute, voila, I'm able to get the book details. One more ID I'll create. Let's copy this enter here, but this is book by not ID, but it should be title, correct? And here in this path, I want after book, it should be title followed by the title value. So the title is over here. So let's copy it and put it under, instead of ID, put this value. So now simply make a request and I should be able to successfully get the details. All right, so no more issue. Let's delete this book. Yeah, it's also successfully deleted. So the project is complete and we have learned two things: optional parameters in TypeScript, and second is how to use the function overloading. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more on the TypeScript discussion. See you next.